Can't find anything. Right, how you all doing? Holo OS is a custom-made version of SteamOS 3 for hardware that isn't the Steam Deck. SteamOS 3 is the thing that comes on Steam Deck. Preface this with, this is not a review. Just happened to be something that I was dicking about with today. I said yesterday how I was prattling around with trying to get my Steam machine back up and running. Steam machine is in like SteamOS 2 before like Proton, Steam Play, the ability to play Windows games and that. And it was a nightmare. I had to gut the thing, source a new drive, reinstall SteamOS, got it running, and then what I wanted didn't work. And that was the Steam Play, really, Proton. There are tons of games I own that work on native Linux through native binaries. However, they're not all great. And there are some games that, whilst they should work on Linux, might be missing dependencies. You could go out of your way to find out what those dependencies are. Or you could just go click, launch on Steam Play, and it runs the Windows version, no problem. Right? I built my library after a certain point based on the idea that games would work on Linux. This is long before the Steam Deck. And it was great because it introduced me to tons of games that I wouldn't have normally played because the selection of native games on Linux wasn't particularly high. Steam Play wasn't working on SteamOS 2, and so I got it into my head, you know what, I will install Holo OS, SteamOS 3, Holo, on my Steam machine and see how it goes. But, go back to the prerequisite, my hardware isn't ideal. And if you owned a Steam machine from back in the day, which, well, my machine is an Optiplex 990, that wasn't a Steam machine from back in the day, they had like Alienwares and stuff like that. Those had NVIDIA graphics cards in them. My Steam machine has an NVIDIA graphics card in it, not supported properly by Holo. Just isn't. It says it in letters. It will work, but it's not ideal. So just, if you have NVIDIA hardware, don't. Just straight out, don't. And given that I'm nearly 4 minutes in already, don't use Holo as an example of what the Steam Deck is like. It can give you a taster, almost, of the interface, but it is not as quick, nor is it as polished. It just isn't. But you can get that groove, because one of the reasons I liked, why I like SteamOS 3 is this works, this doesn't work, this kind of works thing. They actually have lists of games that work on Linux. And funny enough, SteamOS 3, I install it on my Steam machine. The install process is simple as all hell. You just get the ISO off of GitHub and you write it to a memory card using something like Blender Etcher. I did try Ventoy, which is a live distro where you can just copy ISOs onto a memory stick and then just boot from the ISO on that. You just get like a menu that you can select. That doesn't work. You have to write it directly to the memory stick. Install, plug it in, boot it up, double click the install SteamOS 3, groovy, it updates, double click it again, and then you start the install process. Really, really simple. It's just, do you want just SteamOS or do you want the background stuff for desktop use? Generally go for the background stuff too. Do you want to have your, which hard drive you're going to write to? Just pick your hard drive that you want to write to, and then it'll ask you what graphics card you want to use. Do you want to use AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, and then it'll install the relevant drivers and that to get it up and running. That bit, great. Absolutely great. Booting up, fine. Once we got into the operating system though, not ideal. I'm not showing any footage because, there would be less of a strobe in a shitty 90s, early 2000s club. Just saying. It fucking in, out. Fucking every time a game installed, you'd get massive flicker and stuff. I did my night. I imagine if you're on AMD, because the Steam Deck is AMD, it's already better optimized for that. It'd work better. But yeah, once we got it all installed, the experience wasn't ideal. The menus were slow and all that kind of stuff. Nothing compared to how it is on the Steam Deck. And when I was on SteamOS 2, I installed a bunch of just random little games, you know, visual novels, indie titles like Loop Hero, stuff like that. My Steam machine wasn't particularly powerful, but it did the job. It was neat. And you just literally say, whitelist games on SteamOS 2, either just have the curated list that are guaranteed to work on SteamOS, or whitelist everything. I'd say whitelist everything, and you can install these games, and when Steam Play used to work, some of these games would launch. And I looked on SteamOS 3 and I was like, these games don't work. They're not listed as functioning. What's going on here? So I installed a few of the little games that I've already played on Linux through either SteamOS 2 or my main machine, which is a Fedora box. Although back in the day I used to run Manjaro or Antergos, but I went to Manjaro and Antergos when I went to an Arch distribution of Linux. Any games that would run on those, I installed back on the little box. Things that I remembered playing, even if they said they didn't work, because I'm sure they did. Why they're saying they don't, I don't know. And I installed a couple. So I installed like Clannad, Cross Channel. Oh god, I forgot. Something Kami, Useless Goddess. These are like visual novels. And then Spyro, the Spyro trilogy, because the Spyro trilogy is one that's listed as working. So I installed all these things. And I start hitting the button. I'm using a Steam pad on it too, because I do love my Steam pad, my classic Steam pad. And the games that said they didn't work started working. Cool. Launched Spyro, and I got like a test screen, like what you'd see on TV back in the day. It didn't work. The initial video didn't work, and the once you got through the menus to start the game, it would come up with the same thing with like a subtitle at the bottom. Then the game would just freeze. That was it. That was as far as you'd go. Launched Spyro on the Steam Deck, and it worked fine. Same version of Proton, you know, same operating system, albeit tweaked. It really didn't like my NVIDIA GPU. It just didn't. Then I went to launch Love Kami on the Steam Deck. I might have been Clannad on the Steam Deck, and it didn't work. So the things that were working on regular Linux and on SteamOS 3 Holo, for some reason didn't work on the Steam Deck. So here's a random thing for you, okay? I know that Valve are trying all of their games to see if they run on the deck. My all-in opinion, okay, is a trick. If a game doesn't work straight away, try changing the situation in which you're playing it. So for example, Street Fighter V. When I played Street Fighter V, I initially launched it docked on the Steam Deck, and it wasn't happy. It would just crash on that tutorial bit. There's a bit where Ryu and Ken are training at a waterfall, and it would always crash. If you put it into handheld mode, it would get past that bit. From that point on, you don't have to worry about it, and it would then dock or play handheld anytime. No problem. Occasional frame hitches, but outside of that, it's fine. So that's what I mean by changing the situation. Or, if you're finding it's just kind of hanging, hook up a third-party controller to it for the initial launch, because I found that after that first launch, some games that say they don't work, once you meet those kind of criteria and get past certain setups, they work fine. So, I didn't get Spyro working on Holo. I'm sure that folks with AMD and Intel machines would do better, or AMD GPUs and Intel GPUs, but That's not what was in my Steam machine, so couldn't really test it there. Couldn't even try it on Belial, but then realistically on Belial I would just recommend using Manjaro or Fedora Linux distributions. Install Steam and play that way. There's no need for something like Steam OS S3 on there, but it is a very nice kind of gaming distro for Linux. Very, very, very nice, very clean, nice interface. If you want to see kind of the setup process, not really the setup, but like launching it, seeing the Steam Deck logo, signing into your Steam account, and maybe navigating the store, Holo will give you a solid idea. Not a very good one, but what it has done for me it's made me more excited for when Valve finally, at some point, release SteamOS 3 to the public, to everyone, to people who aren't running Steam Decks. Because then as soon as you start getting those RDNA 2 GPU micro PCs, the little tiny dealios, I really want a Steam machine running the same stuff as the Steam Deck, the same hardware as the Steam Deck, hooked up to my telly. Everything that Valve has done with the Steam Deck, you can see all of the building blocks that led to it. The Steam machine, the Steam controller, all the tweaks with Steam Play and Proton Wine, DXVK, that kind of stuff. It's been a wonderful little journey to see it get into the hands of everyone under the sun, but I would like to see. I can dock it. I can dock the damn thing and have it run like a connected to TV Steam machine. I often do, but I would still like to have a Steam machine that I can just leave at my telly and just use Cloud Sync. The Cloud Sync saves just to we'll finish playing the game on my telly and then just fucking pick up my Steam Deck and off I go. Or I could just disconnect the Steam Deck, but you know, I do like gaming on my couch. I don't actually often play Steam Deck handheld, which might sound a bit crazy, but I do when I'm carrying it about. Or, you know what we do? We take the Steam Deck out of the bag, I hook up a couple of control pads and we hook it up to a telly. I carry around a little gaming box with me everywhere. And it's fantastic. The Steam machines way back in the day weren't powerful, but they were expensive. They were terrible actually. They were about the same power as an old laptop I had, but they wanted a lot of money for them, and given the state of Linux gaming at the time, too far ahead of the curve. Now, ready. Again, Holo, in my case, not ideal setup. You'd want a full AMD rig for that. I don't know why you'd want to try it on an Intel rig, because Intel onboard graphics cards are shite. So, but I don't want to say Holo is bad. You can see what they're doing, and it's good. I just really want to see Valve release the official version to the public. But it was fun to toy around with. It was fun to play around with, and it has confirmed that in some cases, some games don't like being played without controls hooked up. Some games don't like being played on the built-in display. Like, I don't know, maybe it has a hissy fit of the control pad that you hook up to the Steam machine has versus an external pad. Look at Monster Hunter. If you play that game docked, and then you with your control pad and stuff, and then you undock it, and the controller ain't there, the game will just freeze, or it's looking for the wrong pad and it just freezes. That kind of thing. Loads of little things that need to be done or can be done to clean up the experience. Holo has just made me go, yeah, a lot of them games that Valve has said don't work, it's just because the requirements aren't being met right off the bat. But, like Street Fighter, once you meet those requirements and then go into launch another time, it's fine. Could be a launcher that it doesn't like in handheld mode, or something that needs a different controller or whatever, because for some reason it's just having a hissy. Sometimes you might find a game will fail to launch, close it and launch it again. But yeah, it was neat, it was fun. And it was fun to have my Steam machine hooked up again. I don't think I'm going to use my Steam machine as a Steam machine at this point though, because I have a Steam Deck. It's a fun thing to play, a fun thing to try. But again, not ideal hardware. If Holo can sort out those NVIDIA driver issues and stop it from causing people to have seizures when they're looking at the screen every time a game installs or when certain things load, if you were, I guess, epileptic, like if you couldn't handle flashing screens and stuff, that would have done you in a heartbeat. So I didn't want to show any footage, and plus I didn't have a capture card hooked up anyway. So, but yeah, neat little project. Really cool that folks are working on it. If you have access to a PC though, a bigger PC, don't go installing Steam OS on it, because all it's going to do is limit your games to 720p, just like on the Steam Deck. Mostly people go, oh, I've got Holo and I'm going to put it on this machine with this hulking great graphics card on it. Don't. Because the Steam OS when it's docked, Steam OS 3 when it's docked, only goes up to, the screen goes up to whatever you've plugged into. 4K display in my case went up to 4K until I tried to launch a game, then it crashed and it rescaled everything. But the games themselves will only see 720p because they're running in a container that's set at 720p. So having a hulking great graphics card is kind of pointless. But no, it was fun. It was neat. If just install Manjaro KDE, Manjaro GNOME, Fedora, you can get away with stuff like Ubuntu or whatever. Just install a Linux distro, install Steam, and then just have at it. I generally recommend Manjaro though. Steam OS is built on top of Arch. One of their test OSs, they recommended people try Manjaro KDE. So do that, give that a go more over than Holo, unless you do have an AMD build that you would like to repurpose. Doesn't matter so much about the processor, but the graphics card should really be AMD until they can work on those drivers. But day's been alright. This has been stretched out far longer than I thought it would be. If you can't tell, everyone in the house is sick. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But I'm going to try and go to bed before we all die of the plague. Everyone's getting worse, and I've got it, and the wife has got it, the elder son's got it, and the younger son's like, yeah mate, I've got a bit of a headache, I'm just getting on with it. Fucking cheeky bastard. But, as I said, gonna head off, another day done. Hope you're well. I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. I hope Valve supports NVIDIA GPUs when they release the actual Steam OS, but we'll see. We'll see.